Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a seriously powerful tool for any leader, the workshop. And no, I'm not talking about awkward icebreakers and trust falls. We're talking about a strategic method for solving your toughest problems.
So let's start with the scenario. I bet this sounds painfully familiar. You and your team, you've worked for weeks, maybe months. You've dug through all the data, you've found it, the perfect, elegant solution to a huge problem. You build this amazing deck, you give the presentation of your life, and what happens? Crickets, right? Blank stares, some polite nods, but absolutely zero action. And that brilliant idea? It just withers away.
And the source material for today's explainer just hits the nail on the head with this quote. See, the problem is when you just give someone an answer, they've got no skin in the game, right? There's no sense of ownership. It's your answer, not theirs. And that lack of shared discovery, well, that's almost always the biggest roadblock to any real meaningful change.
Okay, so if presenting the perfect answer doesn't actually work, what does? Well, it takes a fundamental shift in how you see a role as leader. You have to go from being the teller of truths to becoming the guide on the journey.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this contrast. The old way, the teller way, casts you as the hero, right? You're the one who swoops in with the answer. But the new way, the guider way, it makes you the architect. Your job isn't to have the answer anymore. Your job is to design the process, to build the scaffolding that lets your team discover that answer for themselves. You're not just looking for people to accept your idea. You're building real, solid consensus.
So how do you actually build that process? It's not about just throwing a bunch of people in a room and hoping for magic. A successful journey needs a plan. It needs a clear, intentional blueprint. First off, let's get crystal clear about what we mean when we say workshop. This is not you at the front of a room clicking through a slide deck for an hour. A true workshop is an interactive, collaborative session that's been carefully, meticulously designed for a group to wrestle with a specific problem together. The whole point is shared ownership, not passive listening.
You know, a great workshop isn't magic. It's a machine, a well-designed one, built on 5 essential steps. You've got to start with one single, super clear objective. Then you design the process step by step, making sure it's visual and interactive. The whole thing is engineered to build towards a collective aha moment. And a key part of that is separating the hard data from what people think about.
Now, all this sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? The source material gives us this brilliant story that just shows the power of this framework perfectly. It's about a team facing a classic and very tricky leadership challenge.
So the challenge was this. They needed to convince a group of executives that many of their beloved, long-standing service functions were not actually core to the business. Now that's a tough pill to swallow. Instead of just showing up with a report, they designed a workshop. First, they got the executives to agree, together, on a definition for core business. Then they put this huge matrix up on the wall and had the execs, one by one, plot their own departments against that very definition.
And this is it's perfect. It's the goal. As those executives stepped back and looked at that whiteboard, the conclusion was just inescapable. It was obvious, staring right back at them, in their own handwriting. They had that aha moment all on their own. They didn't need to be told, they convinced themselves. And that kind of self-discovery, it creates a level of buy-in that no PowerPoint deck in the world could ever achieve.
All right, so you've designed your workshop, you've run it, but how do you know if it actually worked? It's not just about whether people had a good time and enjoyed the free coffee. Real success is measured by 2 key things.
Your first clue, your leading indicator, is something you can see right there in the room in real time. It's engagement. Are people leaning in? Are they debating ideas? Are they grabbing markers and rushing to the whiteboard? Or are they leaning back, doom scrolling on their phones? That energy, that engagement, that's the fuel of a great workshop.
Then you've got your lagging indicator. This is the real acid test. After everyone's gone home, did you actually achieve that one clear objective you set out at the very beginning? If the goal was to get alignment, are they aligned now? If it was to make a tough decision, is that decision made? And is everyone committed to it? That is the bottom line. That's the real measure of success.
This method is so powerful. So, how do you start building this skill into your own leadership style? Let's break down 4 key actions you can start working on today to become a true master facilitator. First, you gotta invest in the actual craft of facilitation, for yourself and for your team. Second, you have to learn to trust the process. A good process will do the heavy lifting for you. Third, and this is probably the hardest one for most leaders, you absolutely must be prepared to let go of the reins. Fight that urge to jump in and give the answer. Let the group find its own way. And finally, use these workshops strategically to build real momentum for your most important initiatives. So in the end, this shift from teller to guide, it does so much more than just make your meetings better. It unlocks the collective intelligence, the creativity, and the commitment of your entire team. The answers you're looking for, they're already in the room. The only question is, are you ready to help your team find them?